So just the other day, I did a video for Instagram on how I don't talk about any of my extrasensory abilities. Because at the end of the day, we can all develop extrasensory abilities. Because we can all develop a stronger connection to Source, God, Spirit, Cosmic Consciousness within us. Because we are all a little piece of God, Source, Spirit, Cosmic Consciousness. And that's all that is. Just like I talk about how being empathic is not an extrasensory perception, being able to have extrasensory perception, all that really has to do with is how strong your connection to spirit, your soul is. So I don't go around using my extrasensory abilities to attract people because I don't think they're special. Because from what I've seen, anybody, absolutely anybody who wants to develop them can. First of all, welcome to another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. So, this is going to be a short video because the intro pretty much explains it all. We all have the ability to tap into our connection to the greater cosmic consciousness. We all have, you could call it your higher self, higher power. We all have that inside us. We all have a connection to the greater bit of it that isn't inside us. And I've talked about recently how you can't lose that. Like anything, it can get rusty. Like any skill, it can get rusty, but you don't lose it. So if you don't lose it, using it is what's going to make it stronger. And the more you use it, the better you're going to get at things like being psychic, manifesting. But the thing is, and I talked about this a little bit in my last video, amongst all the other things I was talking about, if you really want stability when it comes to being able to repetitively and predictively be able to tap into your third eye conscious abilities, that requires stable, healed chakras. All the chakras connect to our mind and our body. Our chakras are not just the subtle energy body in that sense. Because as I remind people, like a Venn diagram of 3 circles that all connect in the middle, our mind, body, and spirit are all interconnected. And so if one of them isn't healthy, then the others are going to be affected by that. You are going to see issues with your physical health because you have issues with your mental health potentially. You could see issues with your mental health because you have issues with your physical health. And this all includes your spiritual health as well. So, if you truly want to have predictability when it comes to your connection to the part of you that is God, Source, Spirit, Cosmic Consciousness, you have to not just heal, because as I talked about in my short today, you absolutely have to have the proactive tools to go alongside of it. It's not enough to do the healing work. It's not enough to do the positive mindset work. Because if you're just doing the healing work, you're going to be stuck in that cycle of hurting and healing, hurting and healing, hurting and healing, and not progressing forward because you're still getting hurt, even if you've healed from the things you've gotten hurt from. If you're just doing the positive mindset work, most likely what's happening is in the beginning, you're probably just showing a positive mindset to the rest of the world while being miserable underneath. And then if you really work on it, you might start to see some help come from it, because it is a proactive tool. However, without the other proactive tools, without making sure that mind, body, and spirit are healthy, you're going to still have this instability that makes it so that basically you're going to end up feeling crazy if you tap into your third eye powers without the stability underneath. The example that I like to give of this is having a chair that you sit down in that's missing like a half an inch of one of its legs. You know, you're going to be rocking around on that thing. Who wants to keep up with that? Wouldn't you just rather have a chair with stable legs rather than potentially falling over? Rather than putting all of that focus into making sure that you're balanced in that chair. Wouldn't you just rather have the chair be stable for you? That's why we need to make sure that all of us is not just healed, but then proactively being taken care of when it comes to the health of our mind, body, and spirit. And then when you do this, you can, because we need to take care of ourselves first, but then as we're taking care of, like anything that fills our cup that spills over, we can then truly start to focus on that connection with source, that connection with cosmic consciousness. Now, to be fair, in my experience, not everybody is going to develop those skills in the same ways. So I want to say before this is over that I'm not saying if you want clairaudience, you can have clairaudience versus clairvoyance versus what are some of the other ones? I don't ever keep track. You know, there's clairvoyance, there's clairaudience, there's clairsentience. I don't ever keep track of, well, clairaudience is hearing. Clairvoyance is, I guess, is viewing. Clairsentience, not sure what that one is. Again, I don't really like to keep track of these things because how doesn't really matter. How it's coming in doesn't really matter. That it's coming in at all is really what matters. So, you know, you might develop your skills through some sort of hearing versus seeing versus feeling. I'm not saying that we can necessarily pick which way the intuition comes through, the third eye emissions come through. But we can choose, like any skill, to strengthen our ability, and we all have the ability. You know, how it comes through is, I'm not 100% certain, but I get the feeling that it has to do mostly with, well, honestly, I'm not even going to go out on a limb and speculate about that, but what I will say is that from everybody that I've known, that I've truly actually understood to actually have these abilities, because you want to watch out for the scammers. I'm thinking about doing just a whole video on that. But you want to watch out for the scammers, because there are people who will just tell you they can, and they will do it with such confidence, and they will be so good at cold reading people that they aren't picking up on anything extrasensory, just like empaths aren't really picking up on anything extrasensory most of the time, if at all. But that said, the people that I know that strengthen their connection with source more and more and more, they will start to develop the different extrasensory perceptions in many of the different ways. So usually it starts to come in one way. Like for me, one of the things is clairaudience, where I will hear things. I do get visuals sometimes. More often, they're closer to what people refer to as intuitive gut feelings, strong knowings. But I do get some audible hallucinations, for a lack of a better way of putting it. So I want to make it clear that we can't usually pick how we want it to come in, but we can start strengthening our connection so that it comes in stronger and stronger and stronger, because we all have that connection. We're all capable of it. You just got to practice. Like anything, you've just got to practice. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for joining me for another video. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. That includes my Patreon, where I have all of my guided meditations, workshop replays, my intuitive lifestyle course, Spirituality 101 and 2.0, where we get into the A Course in Miracles student workbook. We're going to do all 365 student workbook lessons. We've gotten through 19 of them so far, between Spirituality 101 and 2.0. As well as some other things. Lots of great stuff in Patreon for you guys. And starting at as little as $23, because I want everybody to have this information. I want everybody to have access to this information. And I am trying to create sort of a library of all of the things that I felt were actually the most helpful. Sort of, do the sorting for you guys. So, I'm going to go study Tony Robbins, Wayne Dyer, Teal Swan, all the things, all the people. And then I'm going to put all of the best of the best in one place. And that's Patreon for you. And you get all of that for the $23 Awakening membership. And then I have 2 other memberships other than that have their own extra things as well. You can work with me one-on-one. Those are links in the description. I have the link to dōTERRA, your one-stop shop to get all of your natural products. Get rid of all of those synthetic chemicals in your life and replace them with the best plant-based products. Like literally the best. PeerPods. I want to formally introduce you guys to PeerPods, which is a healing model that is so amazing that I have recently started working alongside. They have a masterclass coming up. If you would like to sign up for the masterclass to find out more about PeerPods, which is a 3-person group healing model for healing your childhood trauma and programming, that link is in the description. I definitely recommend everybody check it out. And as always, other links in the description. May the energies you serve you well. And let's keep making our way through.